Good evening from Swansea, wrestling fans. I'm your host, Ben Allison, and you are watching Wrestling Republic's daily broadcast. Last night, it was AEW Dynamite. It was a hell of an episode, and we are going to get into the good, the bad, the great, the fantastic, the terrible, all of it from that episode. And to do it with me, I have Clark Taylor. How are you today, Clark?
I thought for a second there you were going to go good, bad, and the ugly, like, dun, nah, nah.
I actually was, do you know?
I really
And
thought
I
that's the
switched
direction
out
you were
last
going.
second.
Neither here nor there. I got to give big ups to Fernando Zayas. He's a big part of the Thursday shows. If you're unfamiliar, Ben, and we get this comment every Thursday for a reason. It's time to light the fuse and ignite this Dynamite review. I said, I love that. I wish I could steal it. Please just comment it every week so I can read it out of the gates. And we are like 10 for 10 now. I love it, Fernando.
Do you know what? I didn't do any Thursday shows for like pretty much 2 years of the daily, pretty much this entire time. And this is now my third one in a row. It's a weird feeling talking about AEW Dynamite on the daily, but I am enjoying it. And I am enjoying those comments from Fernando. We have numero one saying it's time to hit the barbed wires. It's time to hit the lights. It's time to watch Dynamite on TBS. Of course, say it to the tune of the Muppet Show. It's time to hit the barbed wires. It's time to hit the lights. It's time to watch Dynamite on TBS tonight. Da, 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 da. Also joining us, we have Archie Carter. How are you today, Archie?
I'm doing very well, mate. I'm no stranger to Dynamite reviews as well, so I'm excited about this. It was a very fun show last night with a fantastic main event, so I'm excited to talk all about it today.
No doubt about it. But before we get started, it is really important because we need to do something and I need to get it off my chest out of the gates. Everybody needs to say sorry to Christian Cage because 12 months ago, everyone was making fun of me for saying that Christian Cage was the babyface in his story against that psychopath, Adam Copeland. But the entire time I said it, Christian Cage, he's a phenomenal father figure. He is teaching Nick Wayne well, and everybody, including Clark, was laughing at me saying that Adam Copeland was the good guy. He was not the good guy, and last night we saw why. Because guess what? We had one of the most emotional moments in the history of all elite wrestling when he put that title belt around the waist of his son, Nick Wayne. He finally earned his father's respect, right? He didn't just get it, he earned it. A fantastic all-time moment. Christian Cage, fantastic father figure. Some people are saying they're going to get Christian and Adam Copeland back together. I can't see them turning Cope face anytime soon. Even FTR got fed up with him. Clark, I'll pass this to you first for you to say sorry to Christian Cage for your absolute just ridiculous statements last year.
I wanted to take this time really quickly to say that I wanted to apologize for absolutely nothing. You're out of your mind, Ben. You're out of your mind. This is ridiculous. Christian Cage has stolen out of Mr. Adam Copeland, the actual Rated R Superstars playbook, along the way with all of his alliance drawing tactics. But guess who he's going to call like the Ghostbusters when he really needs help here down the road? It's Cope himself. Christian
It's his
Cage
family.
is no father figure. The family is not enough for him. When stuff hits the fan, they will turn on him at any moment, knowing that he's the snake that we all believe he is. Christian Cage has only one thing going for him, and that is that the turtlenecks are hilarious. Christian Cage needs to do the right thing and reunite with the real best heel in the industry.
Well, you're right about
Rated
that.
R Superstar.
He is a heel.
Cope is the babyface right now.
No, he's
Christian's cosplaying what Cope could be.
Oh, as
Christian
if he is.
What Cope could be. And wait
Nick
till,
Wayne would still be doing Spanish flies in bingo halls if it wasn't
for the interest
Christian.
of flash photography, Ben. Wait till we have to pose. Give me, in the interest of flash photography, We will now give you a-
Listen, I'm more fine with them reuniting, but Adam Copeland has to apologize. He has to apologize. And Christian Cage is such a good guy, such a nice guy. I'm sure he'd be willing to accept that apology. But Cope is an absolute psychopath. I mean, he created the Judgment Day, left, and made us, the viewers, put up with it for 2 years longer.
I
And you
don't
hate
think
that,
that's his
Clark.
fault. I think he bailed at the exact right time, and then we had to deal with the outset of that. But at the same time, Cope is the best at what Christian's doing. This is one of the best of Christian's runs, in all seriousness, Ben. As much
It
as I'd
is.
like to continue this, it is. But Cope is the key to the whole thing.
No, it's
Because
not.
the hammer will be dropped eventually. The hammer will be dropped eventually because he does what Christian does best better. And that's just the
Always,
truth.
if
That's
Christian
the
is
reality
levels
of the
above Cope.
situation. If you're looking for a father figure or a mentor or anything like that, ask FTR how that worked out. They're a heck of a lot more successful than Nick Wayne. If you're looking for mentorship,
Well, that's because they turned on him.
Edge-
They realized that he was
Yes, they
holding them
did.
back.
very much
He was
so, but
overshadowing them.
he brought him to the dance just like Nick Wayne will turn on your
They were already
beloved
there.
Christian
He
Cage.
followed them. He's a leech. He's leeching off the
Nope.
people who he's been a father figure to.
Nope.
Christian Cage helps elevate. We've seen it with Nick Wayne. And shout out David Marge for properly giving an apology to Christian Cage. That is how it's done. Shout out David. I mean, Fernando with absolute blasphemy here, saying that Christian Cope is a wicked man. Maybe
is.
wicked is in cool. Maybe that's what he means. Wicked. Yeah.
Like Boston, it's wicked. This is wicked awesome.
Numero 1 says Christian Cage can only be forgiven if he says sorry to all the fathers. All the fathers need to say sorry to him. In fact, they need to say thank you to him because he raised all their games. He's an inspiration to them all. Honestly, that photo of him putting the title around Nick Wayne, I honestly might print off, put in a photo frame, and then mail it to Nick Wayne just so he has something to forever remember that absolutely fantastic moment. No doubt about it. Joel Brennan Holt Dishwasher. That's a hell of a username. Says Christian Cage and Edge will team up once again. That username is a hell of a good one. Listen, Edge needs to say sorry. Because again, listen, Christian Cage has been in AEW for how many years now? Like 4 or 5 years? Has he ever kicked somebody out of a company? Has he ever gotten heat with anybody? No. Cope was in AEW for 2 minutes, and suddenly somebody reminded him that he lost his edge, and we didn't see them again.
Oh, I see what you did there. I see what you did there.
Sakes alive. That pun unintended, right?
Perfectly intended.
Oops.
Something else, which was an intended banger on last night's show, was the Elite teamed up with Ricochet to take on a team of baby faces. It was Kevin Knight, Mike Bailey, Kenny Omega, and who was the fourth?
Mark Briscoe.
Mark Briscoe, thank you.
the one.
Wow, he took the pin. Oh my goodness, I just blanked out. I was like, I watched the match.
Listen, you'd be forgiven for forgetting the outcome because there were so many good things which happened throughout this match. A very typical AEW Dynamite opener, just some great wrestling. Clark, what are your thoughts on this one?
I enjoyed the match. I watched this one with my pops, and he always likes the multi-people matches because he's like, this is just something we never saw when I was growing up. So I think because it's unique, the amount of spots, there was some funk in this one. There was a particular spot that I actually did enjoy. I feel like Kenny bailed some people out when he had the stare down with Okada. I don't know that was necessarily planned, how he was looking for a tag the entire time. Then he sort of just pointed at the ref and said, stop. I'm going to get in the ring and this is going to happen right now. And I thought that was kind of funny, a little tongue-in-cheek joke there. And it was allowed to happen, but it was also a little bit odd. The match as a whole, I didn't hate. It was entertaining out of the gates. It's a long match. I thought it went way longer than it needed to go. I did enjoy the Ricochet accidentally getting the arm breaker spot over the ropes with Matthew Jackson. That cracked me up. Sometimes a little comedy is necessary. I was cool with it. Is it the greatest 8-man tag of all time? No. But it was fun for what it was. and it does make me want to see Kenny and Okada again.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I do agree with you exactly. It was fun, but I also agree with this comment from Shard about saying, they are really fun, but he doesn't know how much they progress storylines within these matches. And I do
Great
agree
point.
with that because David had this exact discussion last week. I asked him, I can't remember what match it was, but there was a match on last week's card. And I was like, I'm not entirely sure why this is happening. And David goes, well, they've been in tons of multi-man matches together recently. And I was like, I didn't even put it together because they do so many of these that they're always really fun to watch. But I never actually really learned much from a storyline perspective from them. In fact, I think it's easy to overlook a lot of the stories just because of how much stuff goes on in ring during them. Archie, I'd love to get your thoughts.
Yeah, I agree that maybe they do too many of these kind of all-star multi kind of big tag team matches. The one thing I will give AEW is when they do say all-star, they kind of mean it. We had, as you mentioned, Kevin Knight, Speedball, Kenny Omega, Mark Briscoe, and then you had the Elite and Ricochet, who's probably doing a bit too much complaining on social media recently. But no, this was nothing less than what I expected from these guys. All of them created just an exceptionally innovative match to kick off Dynamite. Like I particularly love the spot where they're all just kind of trying to do a elbow drop and they keep missing it. One thing I will kind of say is I'm kind of over the slapping Ricochet's head spot. No, I am. And look, I mean, fair enough, Ricochet. If people slapping your bald head has made you fall in love with wrestling again, then I'm not one to kind of criticize it. But I just think it's overdone now. I think personally, it's just kind of getting a bit boring in my opinion. But no, I thought the match was fantastic. One thing I want to mention is I don't think this guy gets enough credit. Is Kevin Knight? I think of AEW signings over the past 2 years, including Will Ospreay, Mercedes Moné, I think Kevin Knight is going to be one of the biggest success stories out of all of the signings they've made the past couple of years. I saw somebody say on social media today, and it's something that I found quite funny, is that they said Kevin Knight wrestles how I imagine Peter Parker would wrestle, and I just want to remind them that we do know how Peter Parker would wrestle, obviously against Bonesaw.
That's true.
But no, I completely agree that he's kind of got that Spider-Man kind of agility and kind of speed to him. He's just incredibly fun to watch. And I think he's going to be one of those guys that's going to go right to the top in AEW, honestly.
I do think you are right. He's got bucket loads of potential, no doubt about it. Numero one Superfly says, while the 8-man tag match was fun, my only advice is if AEW can find a way to explain to new viewers why they should really want to see Kenny versus Okada. And I'll tell you exactly how they should do that. They need to phone up Rocky Romero in the New Japan office and just ask if they can show the match on like AEW TV, what we call like a highlights version, like maybe like a 5-minute version or something like that. Just, the highlights from them.
Or
really even a crazy vignette.
Or a video package.
I'd make it longer than a vignette though. I'd make it like genuinely a 5 to 10 minute segment.
Like a full segment. That's fair.
Yeah. I think that's one of those matches though where social media can kind of do the work for you in a way.
You can't presume that though. A lot of these viewers might not be on social. I mean, a lot will be, but the older audience don't have social media.
I will say the one positive was when they did get the stare down, the crowd reaction was loud enough. Even if you were unfamiliar, you were familiar that this was important. Now, you would have to probably go to a next step to figure that out. But that was the one positive in that direction and in that regards that I did at least see last night.
I'm excited for it. I really do think it's going to be a banger. And of course, Archie, you referenced it there. That Ricochet tweet today. WWE made him fall out of love with wrestling, but AEW has brought it back.
And AEW has, because they're letting people slap him on his head. I mean,
I'll say this, though. It's so funny. I am a bald guy now, but when I was a kid, I grew up in ball caps playing golf and baseball. And my little sister, loved my little sister, but just, messing with her older brother used to hit me on the top of the head right on the button.
Yeah.
But I hate people touching the top of my head. So that spot to me makes me cringe every time. And in some way, it's not even about the like I'm also a bald guy thing.
Yeah.
I just that is like gives me the icks.
Yeah.
No matter what, like the just getting slapped on top of the head, like patted on the
You
head.
lose brain cells every time.
I can't stand it.
No wonder he's sending these tweets.
In all seriousness, right? I'm obviously kidding with Ricochet if he's going to be watching this or watching any of the clips of it. He's absolutely killing it with this heel character, and he's 100% 10 times more interesting than he's ever been in his career. So fair play to him. He's made the right decision going to AEW. Absolutely.
I also, and I said this to both you guys off air, but I don't think that this is necessarily, a diss at WWE. At certain points when you've been in a place for so long, and especially him where he wasn't really getting what he deserved creatively or whatever, you do just need a bit of a change of scenery. And I think, that's what's happened here. It's not an anti-WWE thing, I don't think.
No, I don't. I think we say this all the time. It's the same with Ricky Saints and Ethan Page going to WWE. They're finding more success in WWE than they were in AEW. It's just people thrive in different environments. And that's no promotion's fault. It's just the way it goes.
Like, when you're at a place for so long, like if you bang your head against a wall long enough, either the wall's going to break or your head's going to. And so like you either need to find a thinner wall or a new head.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Or get slapped on the head in the case of Ricochet. But now let's move on to the next topic, because let's talk about Toni Storm versus Miyu Yamashita, because this match, wow, oh wow, it was really, really fun. I mean, Toni Storm has had a heck of a 2025 so far, and Yamashita, this was the first match of hers which I've really seen in full in quite some time. I believe I did watch a couple like over a year ago, but I've been really out of it with Japanese wrestling this past year, especially in Stardom. But this match, it blew me away. It was bucket loads of fun. And post-match, we had that tease. Monet Storm once again, and Hayter came out and said, no, not so fast. Clark, what was your thoughts?
I loved this match. And my thoughts on Toni Storm. She's my absolute favorite wrestler in women's wrestling right now. Just the work that she does to play a character that is this in depth, this deep, and still be versatile stylistically against multiple different wrestling styles, multiple different wrestlers. Last night's match was off the charts. Her and Monet, feed me more. Whoops. Not like that, but seriously, do it over and over and over and over and over and over again. Are you kidding me? These two are so good. I don't know if Monet's promo on the mic was quite good enough, because I think Toni Storm might just really get her next week, and maybe Hayter too.
Ooh.
And if it's all three, it doesn't matter to me, but Toni Storm off the charts. Everything she's done since she's come into AEW has been gold in my eyes. She's made wrestlers. She's made herself. It happens all the time. I mean, monster shout out to Miyu Yamashita. Like, she wrestled. What an incredible match that was. I cannot wait to see how this all plays out. The timeless one, though, is timeless. And I've just got a good feeling. A good feeling.
So basically, Clark, what you're saying is Ryback is all elite.
As soon as I said that, I was like, not that phrase.
I just wanted to say about Yamashita that I actually discovered her like not very long ago, like maybe like a couple of years ago, like very recently. But she's one of the hardest hitters in women's wrestling, probably in wrestling. Even Aleister Black says that she does the skull kick so much better than he does. I mean, it's not really a surprise when she's got a background in karate.
Her striking is sublime, to your point.
Yeah,
it's sublime.
I rated one of her matches 5 stars last year. What am I doing?
Yes.
Smash Islamovich. From TGPW. Absolutely unreal if you've not seen that match.
It's fantastic.
Seriously, check it out.
The thing is with Yamashita as well is that a lot of the time when you've got these kind of wrestlers where they're hitting kind of strikes, sometimes it doesn't kind of look very powerful. Whenever she hits a strike, it's 90% of the time it looks like it hurts. Like it looks like it really
I think it does hurt as well.
Well, no, of course it does. Yeah,
I don't think there's any faking that. But
No,
honestly,
of course.
AEW's women's division right now, very, very exciting. The only negative was we didn't get more of it on this show. Please don't
Yeah,
tell me we're
and
taking a few steps back after quite a few weeks of taking a step forward. But hey, we'll have to wait and
Yeah.
see. Up next, talking about, actually, before we do this, I need to talk to you guys about something real quick. I need to talk to you guys about supporting indie wrestling and supporting progress wrestling, because this weekend, this Sunday and this Monday, bank holiday weekend in the United Kingdom, it is the Super Strong Style 16 tournament. What is, in my opinion, the best tournament in European pro wrestling. There are past winners. We just mentioned Aleister Black. He was a past winner. Will Ospreay, we mentioned earlier. He's another past winner too. I mean, Luke Jacobs, the current world champion, won it last year. This gets you a guaranteed title shot at the Progress World Championship, and you can watch it live on Demand Progress Plus. And you can use code What'sProgress1 to get 50% off your first month on Demand Progress Plus, the home of Progress, Defy, and more. Plus, if you guys haven't seen the video I did today, breaking down the tournament, breaking down the bracket, whether you've not watched Progress before or you're a Progress wrestler, that video is for you, and to make sure to check it out after today's daily broadcast. Let's get straight back into things and let's talk about something it feels like I've been talking about the last 3 weeks during this show on a Thursday, and that's Bobby Lashley turning down Maxwell Jacob Friedman. It's essentially been the same story every week. Lashley won something, MJF gives it to him, and Lashley still isn't happy. And he still isn't happy, Archie, is he?
No, he was very angry this week. I mean, the past few weeks he's been able to kind of mince his words a bit. This week he was not able to do that whatsoever. Shelton Benjamin gave Max the thumbs up. Of course, I think that was all expected. Look, I really like this. I really liked the storyline at the start. Now it's kind of getting to more of the same thing, and it's sort of, I'm not saying I'm getting bored of it. I'm getting towards that stage though, and we need to kind of have a big development soon. I found their segments kind of really amusing. MJF and the Hurt Syndicate have tremendous chemistry. MJF looks like, I don't want to speak on his behalf, but before the Hangman Adam Page stuff, he kind of looked like he didn't really, or he wasn't really, for me, showing his passion and showing how good he was in on the mic, in the ring, just in wrestling in general. Since that Hangman Adam Page feud, it seems like it's lit a fire inside him. And creatively, he just seems just at the top of his game right now. It makes me laugh that we kind of abandoned the whole he's our scumbag storyline with the devil stuff. And we're getting towards that again, because I feel like, I don't think MJF's going to join the Hurt Syndicate. I think, or if he does, it's going to be a short time. I think it's going to be MJF and Bobby Lashley all in. Bobby's going to be the heel, and MJF's going to be, he's our scumbag once again. We're going round in circles with his character development. Is the only thing.
You think Lashley is going to be the heel?
I think he will, because you listen to their reaction, the fans' reaction, when he put his thumbs down to MJF. This is all a massive ruse. This is all a massive ruse, and the Hurt Syndicate are going to turn on Max. I don't know why. Here's the thing, though. I think they're all going to turn on him. I think it's all going to be part of the plan that they were never really going to add him in all along. But then they have to explain why they're wasting their time on them doing that when they could have done some
90 days.
Yeah, but then that's just kind of.
No, I do agree with you.
That's just kind of an excuse to kind of get Cedric to debut. But no, I think MJ, this whole storyline, it's still interesting to me. It's getting towards bordering onto that boring side, so we need a development soon. But I just kind of funny we're going in a circle with this whole character development thing for MJF. Let's just kind of stick with the he's our scumbag thing and let him kind of run with the babyface stuff, even though that's not his best role. He didn't really get a great crack at it last time, so let's just give him a good crack at it this time, I say.
What I think they're going to do is, I think they're going to let him in, and they know the second they let him in, he's going to turn on Lashley. And
Mm.
they let him in. He goes for a low blow or something. And out comes Cedric Alexander, and he's in it. And they knew what was coming. They had a backup plan to protect themselves because they know who Maxwell Jacob Friedman is, and they knew it was a possibility.
That could actually work. That's a really good idea. Go on,
I'm
Clark.
wondering what if Max brought in Cedric as the bargaining chip to get in?
Oh no, that would be interesting,
right?
That
Well,
would be
hey,
interesting.
if I can't just get in by myself, how about if I bring my friend?
Yeah.
But why are they friends?
I don't know.
No, but Max.
Why
Max
was Max
is a liar.
friends with the Pinnacle?
Exactly. Max is a liar. Max is a liar.
He's
so
a liar.
he'll do
Doesn't
whatever.
have any friends.
What if he?
He'll
What
do-
if
I
he
don't know if
whatever
I'd like that.
made
one.
the
No, I
claim
like
for? I actually dig that. Like, what if he just did the hey guys, what about me and an old friend of yours, new friend of mine, Cedric Alexander?
Mm-hmm.
For that to
both
actually
of
make
us?
any sense, he'd have to have signed Cedric to a contract, like he signed Wardlow to a contract back in the day, and
Well,
I
but
just
that's what I
wouldn't make
think-
any sense to me.
No, you just do
No, you could have made. Go on.
dude. It doesn't have to last that long. It doesn't have to be that deep. Like they became friends,
Because otherwise,
rehabbing
they
an
just accept
injury
Cedric without Max.
because they would, but it's too late now. Max has to be the caveat because he's now Max's guy. Maybe Max and him
No.
team together for the debut.
Cedric's now got a lifelong bond with Maxwell Jacob Friedman.
Yeah,
we
no,
never
they-
knew about.
They hit it off. They hit it off. Rehabbing injuries.
If
That's
Cedric
an easy one.
does-
They both have done it in the last couple years. You can tell that story, or you can make something up. We met in the Florida Keys on vacation. Our families love each other.
I mean, the NXT made up the history between Stax and Tony D. So I mean, you can make up anything in wrestling.
It is true.
By the
I
way,
just don't
let me let
trust
you in
them
on
to
a
make it
secret.
up
Then
well.
they're not really in the mob.
But
Lies.
but if Cedric does come to AEW, what I would love is that we're giving the Hurt Syndicate or Hurt Business, whatever you want to call them, proper chance in front of crowds. I feel like that's one of those things that I think Triple H kind of dropped the ball with. In terms of, I think when we say drop the ball, we kind of use that term very loosely. But with the Hurt Business, I think we did. I mean, to not have the Hurt Business versus the Bloodline when that Bloodline stuff was at its peak is just it's like
it was stupid.
Yeah,
because that Lashley versus Reigns, that could have been a money match, and Styles too. Those two matches should have been money matches during that Reigns reign, and
absolutely
neither of them happened.
No, but I was just gonna say I'm really happy that they're getting another opportunity at this, and they're killing it right now in AEW. So yeah.
No doubt about it. Before we move on, I want to read out this comment from Numero One. Not gonna lie, I 100% thought that Lashley would give MJF the thumbs up if he shaved off his hair and gave it to Lashley. It wouldn't be wild if Bobby wore MJF's hair as a wig.
How did bald become such a theme of AEW? Because people have been bald in wrestling for years. Stone Cold
that's the biggest rivalry. That's the biggest rivalry in AEW,
in the
right?
history of pro wrestling, and nobody batted an eye about his haircut.
Hair versus baldness.
The Rock's been bald for 20 years.
Can I just say that Bobby Lashley? Can I say that Bobby did wait way too long to put his thumbs down. I knew that was coming, and it's just like, how long? He must have done it for like 30 seconds or so. Just yes, you're putting it down, Bobby. Just put it down.
But Joel Brennan Holt Dishwasher says Big Show was bald. It's true. He wasn't at first, but he ended up being.
Show's bald. By the way, you're not going to read Fernando's eyes. That's a genius idea, Clark.
All right, Clark. Well, your idea is genius. There we are. But
always looking
no,
to
I
give
mean,
yourself
listen.
Credit, Clark.
It does say something about the state of the Death Rider storyline, considering hair versus baldness has overshadowed it. But now let's move on to talk.
We're in the bald era.
I'm just so happy that the Death Riders are not on this time. I'm just so sick of talking about the Death Riders.
I'll talk
about hair and baldness over the Death Riders any day right now.
I was like, there's quite a few things I want to talk about today, and Death Riders is not one of them. But one of those things I do want to talk about is Hangman Page versus Kyle Fletcher.
Mhm.
Now, I'm going to say two things about this match. One positive, one negative. Positive out of the way first. I absolutely loved it. I thought this was a tremendous match. Hangman Page, Kyle Fletcher, two absolutely amazing wrestlers. Two of my personal favorite wrestlers in AEW. But the one negative is this match is potentially why a lot of people don't watch AEW. Because I did a post today on Allison, on my Allison analysis page. And I basically just did a tweet saying, I don't understand why people aren't watching Dynamite when there was so much good wrestling every single week on it. And there was like 100 comments or whatever, pretty much saying the same thing. And the same thing was they struggle to get invested into it because there's big moves all the time on a weekly basis. And I watched this match and I was like, hell, if this was in WWE, this would be a WrestleMania main event for there to be this many kickouts, to be a tombstone driver on the outside, for there to be a neck breaker on the barricade. They were doing all this in a main event of a weekly TV show. And listen, I enjoyed it. I did. But I can see why a lot of fans have an issue with this. And I do think maybe AEW do a lot so much that suddenly a lot kind of doesn't feel like a lot anymore. Archie, I want to get your thoughts on it.
No, I completely agree with that kind of statement. If this was a WrestleMania, this is kind of the only kind of time you can justify kickouts like that is, like you said, in like a WrestleMania main event, or for a big showman or all-in main event. I think before I talk about the match and the result, I think you are right that maybe they're trying to go too big. That for me, AEW, and where its problem is actually what its slogan is, which is "Where the best wrestle," and they're constantly trying to, or not trying, they're constantly feeling like they have to prove that each week, and you don't have to prove that. You can save these massive matches for your big pay-per-views. You can build towards them. You don't, everyone knows how good the roster is. And I saw your tweet today about the kind of match quality, and that we might be looking back in this as some of the best match quality we've seen in on weekly television. And I do agree, but here's the funny thing. This is probably the second least interested I've been in AEW ever, right? In terms of weekly TV. Their pay-per-views always knock it out of the park. But what does that tell you? That their match quality is better than ever. Yet this is one of, in my opinion, the second least interested I've been in AEW. I was less interested last year. I'm more interested this year, but it's not by a lot, because look, it just feels like, as you said, they're going too much, or they're going too big too much at the time. And I feel like they need to maybe take a page out of WWE's playbook, and I don't want to keep comparing them to WWE, but maybe they do in terms of WWE build to these big moments, build to these big spots tremendously well most of the time, that it means something, I feel like AEW can do that with their matches, their big moments, and they need to do that more often. The result of this match, I loved. Hangman winning was the correct decision. Hangman and Ospreay, now that's a match that they should be going full throttle for. They got to be there fighting for a place on the All-In card to face Jon Moxley. And guess what? I'm going to be right again. Although I did say Will Ospreay was going to win in at Forbidden Door. Let's just forget about that part. But Will Ospreay, he's going to beat Hangman Adam Page, and he's going to beat Jon Moxley at All In. He's going to be the one to beat Jon Moxley. I've said it since the start. Since I've come on the daily, I've said Will Ospreay is the man to beat Jon Moxley. I feel like maybe they could have done it. Okay, I'm not going to say they could have done it a better way than this, because there's still time. But I think Will Ospreay is going to be the person to beat him. Although I did say Forbidden Door, but we'll just forget about that part. Will Ospreay. is going to win.
I still can't see it personally, but I really, really hope you're right. And we mentioned that post, and on that post, there was another interesting comment, and it was replying to me. It was disagreeing with me, but it was saying everybody, well, sorry, it was kind of agreeing with me. It was saying that everybody will look back on it and wonder why people weren't giving it praise at the time. But the only people who will understand that is the people who are living through it, because the reason why people aren't giving it praise is the stories aren't compelling enough. And I'm not entirely sure if I agree with the statement, but I can understand where it comes from. Clark, what are your thoughts?
You know, I thought for a weekly show, they used too much of the modern special effects on Mandalorian since it wasn't the Star Wars movie itself. I just thought it was completely wrong. What are we talking about here? In the main event, they went all out, and it's going to bug us on a Wednesday night? I wasn't invested enough in the story. I don't know. Watch previous weeks. It's been a tournament the whole time. It's a pretty darn huge match. It's pretty self-explanatory. There didn't need to be a big old story for a tournament. It's the semifinals. It sends him to the finals. That's right there. They showed the graphic during the entrances and everything with the bracket. I don't know which story you missed, or maybe if you just didn't watch it from the people in the comments along the way. It might be that. And I understand where people are coming from, maybe on like, I'd like a little bit more storytelling to have a match of this caliber. Who are we to tell them not to have a great match in the main event given the time? What? We're complaining about, you know what I want is a little bit less ice cream. I was thinking 1 scoop instead of 2. Like, what? Well, knock it off. This match was outstanding. This tournament's been outstanding. The final will be outstanding. And the best part about it is it was unpredictable because half of us had on our bingo card Ospreay versus Fletcher in the finals. That's not what we get. We get Hangman Page versus Will Ospreay. This match is going to be excellent. But what in the wide world of sports are we doing here? Sitting around and complaining about it.
I'll tell you what, though, right? You mentioned the ice cream just now, right? If you have too much ice cream, you start to feel sick. It suddenly doesn't taste as nice as it did when you had 1 scoop.
Exactly. No, exactly. True. Look, that's what
I can eat a tub of it.
That's what Ben's saying is that and he's completely right. Is that yes, I'm not complaining about having.
I'll give you a new metaphor if you'd like one, Arch.
Hang on. On weekly TV, but look, it's these matches to me. I'm seeing them each week, and yes, they're fantastic. I don't want to see them each week. I want them to feel special. To me, they don't feel special because they're having.
I think that is a fair point. I really, really do, because how are you going to top this stuff on pay-per-views if you are taking it this far on weekly shows?
So
I'll tell you how more kick-outs, and that won't be good.
Let me say.
Like, think about your favorite television show. If it goes off, no cliffhanger, no good ending, it's just kind of a episode. What do you do?
No, it should have been a great match. They didn't need this many kickouts or big moves.
It didn't need to be this good.
Let me put this into perspective. Let me put this into perspective. Right, this is kind of like if
this competitive
Io Sky, Bianca Belair, and Rhea Ripley had that fantastic match on a weekly show on Monday Night Raw.
We'd be fired up. The internet would go ballistic.
I wouldn't hate it.
No, I wouldn't. You know what? You wouldn't
be like, why'd they do it on Raw?
I think that might not
we got a great match on Raw.
No, you know what I would actually say after? I'd say this was a fantastic match. Why the hell was this not on WrestleMania? That's what I'd say. Because that's where those kind of matches belong. They belong on a WrestleMania stage, an all-in stage.
65 days. 2.
I just think we are getting to a point. By the way, I thought we would get into the same point in Punk versus Rollins, and I said this at the time too, where like it kind of felt like the way that they were going was just more and more kickouts, and that's how it make the match quote unquote better.
Now, the kickouts
when in reality it takes me more out of it every time there's another kickout once it passes a certain threshold.
The false finishes is where I have the larger issue than the quality of competitiveness in the match, Ben. That I will actually agree with. The amount of false finishes, that I will agree with. But I think that's separate from the conversation we're having about is it too many false finishes in AEW, or is it too much high quality long wrestling matches?
No, I don't think it's long. I think it's the kickouts and big moves.
That I agree with. That I 100% agree with. Too many false finishes? Yes. I have no desire to argue that. But to have a high quality main event on a Wednesday night show, I have no issue with, especially it being a tournament semifinal and it's an advertised main event. It brought people in the building.
That's not a high quality main event. That's an exceptional main event, right? But this is the thing. This is the thing. Something like this, I feel like, and this is going to sound incredibly stupid, but you're going to have to hear me out, is going to turn off new viewers to AEW. Because if they watched AEW Revolution, they saw Will Ospreay and for the first time, if you watch AEW for the first, like you said your friends did, they watched AEW for the first time. They saw these fantastic matches. They think, wow, I need to watch more of this, right? They're getting the same thing each week. And for a metaphor, for the first time, like a few months ago, I had tiramisu for the first time, right, that I've ever had it. Now I'm absolutely sick of it because I have it literally every single week. Every single week for dessert. It's because it's because it got repetitive, and it's the same thing when AEW has these quality of matches. It's getting a bit too repetitive, and it sounds incredibly stupid, but they're in danger of turning off new fans and turning off new fans to help the promotion grow with these kind of matches if they just keep putting it on the card each week.
To your point, if you're a new fan, then you haven't seen what happened before. How could the pattern bother you?
If you're a brand new fan, I think it's hooking you in. But I think if you've been a fan for a while, then yeah.
You know what I mean?
There's a great comment here. I want to read out
quickly. It's like a sliding scale.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's from Yuan, who says, you need to have some mundane to appreciate greatness. And I do agree with that too. If everything's great, then nothing's great.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. That's why we did the Death Riders.
Tony Khan's a genius.
Remember?
I'm a sicko again, Tony. I'm a sicko again.
Angle sucks.
Yeah, didn't you guys see the Death Riders? They've been doing that.
No, but it is completely right. It's like if you have all the money in the world, if you're happy all the time, how are you going to appreciate happiness? Do you know what I mean? And then we're getting very deep now.
Try to get happier.
It's uncovered a real issue here. I think we really have gone down to the roots of AEW's core issue, and it's that maybe it's too good. Because it's too good.
I think it's too good.
It sounds stupid, but I know.
We need more Death Riders.
They need to tone it down a bit. Do Hangman versus Fletcher. Have them have a great match, but not that many kickouts and no thingies on barricades or whatever. Save that for a pay-per-view main event.
They need to stack more bald guys.
I think a weekly show that has match quality nailed down to perfection most of the time is Raw. And I don't want to keep bringing up WWE, but to me,
gosh, you really like them.
Are you by any chance a WWE fan, Archie?
No way.
Hang on.
Must be a Netflix.
It's Triple H on the phone. Hang on, guys. Sorry.
Yeah.
He's telling you to make sure you don't pivot from your point.
Yeah.
But on that note,
I shouldn't have pivoted. No, I did not pivot. I'm not pivoting, Triple H. I know you're watching. I'm not pivoting. Pivoting.
Make sure you end the show before we hear the Netflix gong on Archie's end.
I'm not allowed to. I'm not allowed to criticize WWE anyway. I'm not allowed to criticize them. So you can't really blame me.
You're also not allowed, right? Archie's going on holiday in a couple of weeks. I've told him he's not allowed to have an out of office email automatic reply either, right? Because those aren't allowed anymore. No. On that note, that brings us to the end of the show. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Thank you for all the comments throughout. We will be back same time, same place tomorrow to preview this weekend in professional wrestling. Thank you, Archie. Thank you, Clark. We will see you guys tomorrow. Peace.